It happened when a Saudi player was sent off for rough play in extra time, and a colleague strode onto the pitch to let Belgian Alexis Ponne know what he thought of his refereeing. Abu Dhabi Television provided the action replay. The angry player nursed his sore knuckles, and the day's referee, not surprisingly, declared the match over as he was helped off. Lying unconscious for several minutes can make you lose track of the game.
And now to some football in European Cup quarter-finals. Hamburg defeated Kiev 3-0 after Larg's Bastrop got all goals for Hamburg. First from a header, then from a good shot in the 50th minute, and with a scintillating header just before full time. At Milan, Inter Milan drew with Real Madrid 1-1 after Milan's Gabriel Oriali opened the scoring for Milan. Real Madrid struck back through Ricardo Galiga to equalise after a shocking mistake by the goalkeeper.
Thank you, John. Good morning. Newcastle Beach it is, and I'm afraid there's not much to talk about as far as the surf's concerned this morning. It's very much flat city out here. Waves around 0.2 to 0.5 of a metre at the open beaches. Conditions will improve a little with the outgoing tide. The tide's still a little full, but there aren't going to be any startling waves for the board riders at all today. A great day coming up for the swimmers. Plenty of sunshine. The water's a little bit cool, but all of our city beaches are quite safe, and it's going to be really a nice day to come up to the beach, spend a few hours in the sun, and have a swim in the water. It's going to be great. The board riders, I'm afraid it's a little bit sad. The forecast, hot and mostly sunny, with moderate to fresh north to northwesterly winds, 15 to 20 knots, that's 30 to 40 kilometres per hour on the coast. A cooler, squally, southerly change overnight, a very high fire danger, seas slight to moderate on a low swell. And the outlook for Thursday, mild to southeasterly winds with a few showers. Newcastle heading for a top today of 36 degrees. Up in the valley towards Scone, a top of 39. Low tide coming up at 11:45 this morning, 0.5 of a metre. High tide 5:43 this afternoon, 1.1 metres. Well, that's our look at the surf and weather. Unfortunately, a very hot day in store. Great day for the beach, not for the board riders that is, just for the swimmers. A cooler southerly change overnight. I'm afraid it's not going to reach here this afternoon. It will be during the night, so it's going to be a very warm day. I hope you enjoy it. Stay out of that sun. We'll be back again tomorrow morning.
In the 100 kilogram category, Yuri Zaharovic set world records in the snatch and twice in the jerk. This is his world record for the snatch. In the 110 kilo class, Leonid Taranenko also set new bests for the snatch and jerk. And in the over 110 kilos, Anatoly Pizdarenko broke the world record for the snatch.
The Aristocrat Poker Machine Company has an exhibition in town at the moment. The display shows the evolution of machines since the first in 1954, when the firm was actually known as the Ainsworth Dental Equipment Company. They decided to concentrate on painless extractions and specialised in poker machines, becoming Aristocrat. Now their products are a far cry from the crude mechanical devices of 1954, with electronics of the highest technology and all possible anti-fiddle devices. Now we're taking another step.
What with random breath testing and the downturn in the economy generally, clubs are finding it hard to keep profits up. And they have to come up with new ideas to get customers back inside the door. poker machines are one way of doing this, and here's the very latest from the Aristocrat company. It's 2.4 metres high, or about 8 feet if you're not metricated, and at the moment though this one would be illegal in New South Wales because it has 7 reels and it's a multiplier. But the rules are changing, and apparently it won't be too long before it'll be okay in this state.
Currently in Australia, where poker machines are legalised in a few of the states, multi-coin multiplying machines are not allowed. At the moment what we do have is multi-coin pay machines. By feeding extra coins gives you an extra line. Does not increase your odds of your pays at all. This particular machine, which is a multi-coin multiplier, by adding more coins in from 1 to 6 coins, increases your odds, which increases your pay values. Now, the big cabinet machine is only a gimmick. But what it does allow us to do is to present something in a multiplier or multi-coin dollar machine or whatever it might be for the people that want them. Any current machines that are available in those style of cabinets. But we are trying to save that type of machine for new legislation of $1 machines and 4, 5 or 6 coin multipliers.
Well, how long then do you think it'll be before we see one of these in a club somewhere?
Well, depending on the government with their legislation on machines, we would presume that they would be available for the 1st of July, which is the new licensing period for the club industry.
Thank you, John. Good morning. Well, I don't think you'll be coming down here this morning, John, for your little ski wave. The swell's right up, waves around 2, occasionally 2.5 metres at most of the open beaches. Swell from the southeast, it's come up overnight with that strong wind that we've had, and all of our city beaches at the moment basically unrideable, unless you're heading towards the southern corner of Stockton, Blacksmiths and Nobbies. All of the other beaches just quite out of control, big waves and quite dangerous. If you'd like to go for a swim, no way, I'm afraid. Only beaches, Stockton and Blacksmiths, if you think about having a swim right in the southern corners. Most of our city beaches aren't looking very good at all at the moment, and we will see a little bit of beach erosion during the day. The forecast, mild in the upper Hunter with brief sunny periods. Cool to mild and cloudy near the coast with a few showers. South to southeasterly winds at 30 to 50 kilometres per hour on the coast, but easing during the day. Moderate seas and swell, and the fire danger is high. The outlook for tomorrow, Friday, is for showers to be clearing and humid conditions. Newcastle today heading for a top of 24 degrees, quite a deal cooler than yesterday, and Scone heading for a top of only 26. High tide was at 5:41 this morning, 1.5 metres. Low tide will be at 12:31 this afternoon at 0.5 of a metre. Well, that's our look at the surf and weather this morning. Big waves around the 2 metre mark at all of our open beaches, big southeasterly swell, closeouts, no good for the board riders and conditions very unsafe for the swimmers. Stockton and Blacksmiths, the only safe beaches around. Have a great day. Looks like we are going to get a few showers. We'll be back again in the morning.
A performance by children from the Awabakal cultural group underlined the purpose of the conference, to gain recognition of Aboriginal values in education and to present an alternative perspective on many subjects. As one of the conference organisers pointed out, Australia's history did not begin in 1770. The conference is the second organised by the Aboriginal Education Consultative Group, a committee which has worked closely with the New South Wales Education Department. Opening the conference, the Director-General of Education, Mr Swan, said he felt much had been achieved since the last conference 2 years ago, but he admitted the process of change is slow.
All of the fine thoughts in documents are of little consequence if in fact there are not people out there in the community receptive to an understanding of that document. Now that's why I'm so heartened after talking with John and Bob to find that the representation at today's conference is very widespread.
The conference will continue until Sunday with a number of keynote addresses and a series of workshop sessions.
Greg Saunders, who is captain of the side, Jimmy Halliday, Mick DeMotor, Ricky Mosman and Billy Smith travel to Sydney each Wednesday night to compete in the Super League with the Bankstown Sports Club. So far this season, they've won 5 of their 6 matches. Last night, they suffered their first defeat by the small margin of 4 games to 3. Greg, Jimmy, Mick, Rick and Bill are competing against some of Australia's finest exponents of stars, such as Kevin White, the regular Australian representative, Jeff Zorbas, the New South Wales state captain, and many state representatives. The boys are confident that their good form will continue and that they will bring back to Newcastle the Winfield Trophy plus the cash.
People who originally contracted are usually between 20 and 40 years, with twice as many women as men having it.
And what sort of an illness is it?
It's a disease of the central nervous system and attacks the myelin sheath of the spinal cord, which paralyses various parts of the body, or sort of can be the eyes, legs, arms, whatever.
And is it a very difficult disease to cope with?
Yes. In the early stages, it's the psychological problems of not knowing the progression of the disease. Some people have it all their life and are very little affected by it. And other people, within sort of 18 months, they're in a wheelchair or virtually in a bed. So knowing which way it's going to go is one of the things to cope with.
Now, the MS Society are organising a seminar for Saturday on the disease. What sort of things will you be telling these people, and what will you be doing with them?
Well, we have people from the Society who are talking. Also, a clinical psychologist will be speaking on the psychological aspects of MS. We have Dr. Holland from Newcastle Hospital talking on the medical aspects, and Dr. Heath from the university who's doing research on myelination. We'll have people from home help and physiotherapists from the hospital here saying what is available for MS people here in Newcastle. And how they can cope best with it, particularly living in this area. We'll have people from home help and physiotherapists from the hospital here saying what is available.
For Queensland star Alan Butcher, it will be a return to the Newcastle track for the first time in many months. Butcher won his Australian Sedan title at the Motordrome 2 seasons ago, and since then has only made a handful of visits to the Hunter. Prolific Blue Ribbon event winner Grenville Anderson, former Australian champion himself, is making a welcome return to the Motordrome for the race. Anderson has been away from competitive driving for some time, but many believe he will not have lost any of the skill that took him to the top. For Newcastle driver Graham Lilford, the Win Sedan Classic will provide him with the first opportunity to show his Newcastle followers why he is the current New South Wales Sedan champion, as well as being Australia's #2 driver. Lilford finished second to Tasmanian driver Sess Hendricks at the recent Australian Championships.
Police say the man, David Mark Weish, 20 of Murray Street, Swansea, was pumping up his dune buggy tyre when it exploded. The accident happened at about 11:45 this morning at the Esso service station in Main Road, Cardiff. The blast, which killed the man instantly, flung the tyre some 10 metres. Officers of the Newcastle Scientific Squad were on the scene of the accident, and it's believed the explosion was caused by the tyre being overinflated.
The players have formed 3 teams, and each team is being sponsored to take part in a game of 1,000,001. The winning team will be the first with a score that exceeds 1 million points. The game, which is being played at the Toronto Workers Club, began at 8 o'clock last night. All 3 teams played throughout last night and today, but despite the mammoth effort, still have a long way to go. The leading team is sitting on a score of 512,000 points. At that rate they're throwing, it will be another 20 hours before they pass the million mark. So for the 34 weary players, tonight looks set to be another one without sleep. The organiser of the game, Mr Ted Gilmore, says that more than $1,500 has been raised for the telethon so far, but says that amount could double as the game progresses. All the best to the 3 teams.
The school requires 2 new demountable classrooms to cope with a recent dramatic rise in pupil numbers, from approximately 300 to more than 420. The school's P&C held a rowdy meeting today, not content with department assurances that the Demountables would arrive tomorrow. The teachers elected to go on minimal supervision, and many parents took their children home for the day. The school staff says the Education Department had ample warning that the school population would increase markedly this year. Last year, the Housing Commission had warned of the increase due to the growth of the new Quigley estate nearby. Despite this, the Education Department would not accept estimates until the start of the school year, and the classrooms will only arrive tomorrow. A demountable constructed during the school holidays was sited wrongly and went without power or water for 4 weeks. I asked a parent, Mr Robert McShane, what he thought was the cause of the problems.
There's been no coordination whatsoever between the Housing Commission and the Department of Education. The Department of Education works on a head count basis in making decisions with no forecasts being taken into account, and that's the problem.
Hello everyone and welcome. This morning I'd like to talk to you about a new type of property trust, and believe me, it's quite unique. And I'm of course referring to the Ramsay Trust. This particular trust is not offering any interest whatsoever, but at the end of the investment period, and by the way you can invest for periods of 5 years or 10 years or both, you will receive benefits based on the CPI index. In other words, it's an indexed type of investment. I might also add that the minimum investment, and this is pretty good, is just $100, rather like semi-governmental loans. I would add to that as well that you can start with a 10% deposit and pay off the balance in about 3 to 4 weeks. And you can also invest irrespective of one's age. Now let me explain that in more detail. In some cases, investments are restricted to people of 18 years or over. Not necessarily the case with Aussie bonds or with some other investments, but it is the case with many others. Now, if, for example, and let's use a classic illustration, you want to put money aside for your children's education, or they've got some savings, if you, and let's assume that they're 12 years of age, buy a 5-year Ramsay Trust debenture, that will mature when they're 17, of course, at around the time they'll be going on to higher education, if that's the intention. Now, if they're not going on to higher education, then of course they'll have that little nest egg that they can call on to use to go out into the workforce. Now, I again repeat that this is a unique concept, and most important of all, it is guaranteed by the South Australian government. And what do you think of that? I've never heard of it before. A property trust that's guaranteed by a government. Now, if you want further information, my advice is to contact any branch of the ANZ Bank, contact local stockbrokers, or write to the Ramsay Trust direct. I'll see you next Monday.